Many technologies are running in a quantum computing horse race. And trapped ion tech with ultra-stable qubits and scalable architectures is a strong contender, currently near the front of the pack. IonQ, one of the companies riding a trapped ion steed, is on an acquisition spree, assembling pieces it believes will help it to finish strong. Whoever wins this race, quantum could be a key to the future of AI, emerging as necessary quote-unquote broadband for AI to advance. I'm Geis, and this is AI Venture Watch. All right, we have a category here called quantum technologies that I'm going to bring out, and let me expand it. And right now we have 5 nodes that relate to quantum technology. There are more than 5, but the one we're going to be concentrating on right now is called trapped ion qubits. This computing uses electrically charged atoms, ions, they're positively charged, confined in a electromagnetic trap, typically via radio frequency or static electric fields, to store and manipulate quantum information. Quantum gates are applied using tightly focused laser beams or microwave pulses, enabling precise control over qubit states and entanglement with high fidelity. Entanglement, as you may know, is the linkage that enables a quantum computer to process an enormous number of possibilities simultaneously. All right, well, that's trapped ion qubit tech, but let's take a look at a couple of companies that belong and they're involved in this. And you can see that what comes back is Honeywell, Quantinuum, and a company we're going to focus more on called IonQ. But before we go to IonQ, let me just show you something about Honeywell and Quantinuum. I'm going to expand Honeywell and show that it is invested, and this is a significant investment, that's why it's in all red. And Quantinuum was formed in 2021 through the merger of Honeywell Quantum Solutions and Cambridge Quantum Computing, combining Honeywell's ion quantum hardware with Cambridge's quantum software expertise. The merger created a full-stack quantum computing company, and Honeywell is now majority owner of Quantinuum following the merger and has continued to invest, participating, for example, in a recent $600 million capital raise. So Quantinuum is a major player in quantum computing, ion-trapped quantum computing, but we'll come back and focus that on a different video. Right now, I want to concentrate on IonQ. So let me select IonQ and dismiss all other nodes. So right now, we're just focusing on IonQ as a company. Now, what I want to do is to expand IonQ, specifically looking at some events. And there are going to be 10 nodes that come back with respect to IonQ's events. And these events are of all types. For example, it's milestone IPO. It's a public company. It went public in 2021. It was the first publicly traded pure quantum computing company after completing the IPO. There are divisions, recent events. For example, this is one we're going to talk a little bit more about, is that IonQ, just this month, in September of 2025, announced the formation of IonQ Federal, a new entity dedicated to serving the U.S. government, defense sector, and allied nations. Now, this is a strategic focus on the public sector and national security applications. We'll see more about this in just a minute. I'm skipping over acquisitions for now because you can see a lot of these events deal with acquisitions. But we're going to go to, here's, for example, a stock spike. Now, if you're following this, you know that this month, IonQ, as well as some other quantum-related stocks, publicly traded, have had a significant stock spike based upon this kind of rekindling of interest in quantum computer stock. And here's, for example, another event which had to do with leadership, a leadership event where Niccolo de Masi was now appointed chair in addition to being CEO and president. So there are a number of events, but we're going to focus on acquisitions. So what I want to do is apply a filter to acquisitions, and I am going to filter this according to the acquisition event type. Okay, so now I've applied the filter, and we have 6 acquisitions. Now, these are all done in 2025, so IonQ has been on a tear, so to speak. A little bit about IonQ first before we look at its acquisitions. As we've said, it's a trapped ion technology company, and it is focusing on industries that include artificial intelligence, finance, cybersecurity, the drug discovery, and as we've seen, also focusing more on federal defense and other type of federal agencies. The company operates on a quantum as a service model. It's made its quantum processors accessible through the major cloud platforms like AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Now, it's not necessarily doing a lot of business through these services right now, but it's positioned to do so. All right, let's focus on its recent acquisitions. Recent meaning the last since 2025. It acquired a company called qubits that specializes in components for quantum networking. As we're going to see, the networking in quantum computing is becoming increasingly important. It acquired Capella Space. Now, this one is becoming increasingly important. It's a satellite imaging company to support strategic plans for developing space-based quantum communication and key distribution networks. Now, just yesterday, on 9/17/2025, IonQ signed a memorandum of understanding with the DOE, Department of Energy, to develop networking and secure communications via Capella. So space is becoming increasingly important as reflected by the Capella Space acquisitions. Here's another acquisition. It acquired controlling stake in Quantique, Geneva-based firm specializing in quantum-safe cryptography. You may know this is going to be an increasingly important area that quantum solutions must come to consider. And here is LightSync, another acquisition. LightSync was done in June, and it recently completed this in June as a startup developing photonic interconnects and quantum memory. The move is aimed at, again, bolstering IonQ's capabilities in networking multiple quantum systems together. Once again, the networking theme comes up. But the 2 acquisitions we want to spend a little bit more time on are Oxford Ionics. Let's open this up and look at it in more detail. In June, it announced the acquisition, and it's recently completed it. It announced a definitive agreement to acquire Oxford Ionics, UK-based quantum computing startup, in a deal valued at $1.1 billion. We'll see that this was a mostly stock transaction. IonQ will obtain Oxford's scientists and engineers, as well as patents for trapped ion quantum systems. So there's a talent piece to this, as well as a technology piece to this, and integration is always something that one has to watch carefully, particularly when talent is acquired, that is creative talent. The integration of this into IonQ is going to be interesting to watch as to how to maintain psychic commitment so we don't have psychic leakage in any form. In any case, IonQ plans to integrate Oxford's ion trap technology, which is made of standard semiconductor chips with its own quantum systems. It's an important acquisition, so let's look at the details in a little bit more detail. This acquisition was completed on September 17th, 2025. IonQ finalized the 1.075 billion acquisition of Oxford for 1.065 in stock. So it looks like 1% is in cash and 99% is in stock. It's interesting that a company like this that is public can now use its stock. It's a more attractive currency than if the company were private. It's possible for a private company to do acquisitions. It's happened in the past, but it's much more convenient and it's much easier for a company if it's public to use its stock in a M&A transaction, and that's indeed what IonQ has done here. Let's look at Vector Atomic, because this relates to what we were talking earlier about federal agencies. Is a quantum technology company specializing in the design and manufacture of high-precision atomic devices for critical applications. It develops atomic clocks and internal sensors and enable a resilient GPS-free navigation, secure communication networks, enhanced situational awareness. Their expertise spans atomic physics, optics, electronics, translating complex quantum phenomena into systems that offer performance and reliability. Now, and importantly, Vector Atomic has received contracts from multiple U.S. government agencies, including the DoD, DARPA, Office of Naval Research, that's ONR, and the Air Force Research Laboratory. So with the acquisition of Vector Atomic, IonQ has developed a beachhead, a deeper beachhead with respect to dealing with developing its federal division. Let's look at the acquisition a little bit more. IonQ plans to acquire Vector Atomic to expand into the quantum sensing market and create a full-stack quantum platform. This is a $250 million all stock. Once again, we see IonQ using its stock as currency. $250 million all stock acquisition will integrate Vector Atomic's atomic sensor technologies with IonQ's quantum computing and networking capability. The goal is to leverage Vector Atomic's expertise in relationships with government. And we've seen how important this is becoming with respect to early customers for IonQ's technology. All right. We've seen that trapped ion tech is no longer lab curiosity. It's emerging as a possible backbone of quantum's next leap. As companies like IonQ snap up talent, tech, the quantum landscape is shifting rapidly. Stay tuned. The future isn't just digital, it's also quantum.